What's acceptable to have to explain to a child, but unacceptable to have to explain to an adult? Not everything on TV is real. Some people on the internet lie to you. Basic hygiene. Edit. Thank you for the gold and silver. TBF, I was never really taught or made to brush my teeth, so it never became a habit. And 3 teeth are gone cause of it. Had I been made to do it when I was younger, I'd have dentures that are worth more than sheet. Edit. The amount of people that can relate to this in some way is astonishing. Wow. Me too. I'm embarrassed to admit I struggle to remember to brush my teeth every day. Being raised by a depressed mom who doesn't care too much about her hygiene, let alone her kids, is awful. Edit. I am so relieved I'm not the only one. I am so embarrassed by this. I'm 22 now, and I've gotten so much better. I brush at least once a day. But damn it, I'm so glad I'm not alone. Edit. Raised to the power of 2. Thanks, stranger, for the silver. Edit. Raised to the power of 3. Thanks, again, for silver. Even though you bumped into that person and knocked their items out of their hands by accident, you still need to apologize. Edit. Thank you for the silver. Just the general concept of things you do on accident are still your responsibility. How it isn't okay to throw a tantrum when you don't get what you want. My favorite reaction to this situation. What were you hoping to achieve with that display? They'll just make something up in an attempt to justify what they did. Why we cover our mouth nose when we cough sneeze. Edit. Wow, thank you for my first ever gold. And how to cover our mouth nose when sneezing coughing. Do it into your elbow crease, not your hands, people. Dabbing is the only acceptable way to sneeze or cough. And sneezing coughing is the only acceptable reason to dab. Teaching the concept of personal space. Too many adults do not understand it. A man was standing so close to me in the supermarket queue that I had to ask him repeatedly to take a step back. Every time the queue moved forward, he would be jammed up against me again. In his incoherent response, he seemed very concerned that I wasn't jammed up against the next guy in the queue too. As if that was just an open invitation for random people to jump into the gaps ahead of us. After living with a 32-year who behaves like a 12-year for a year. Don't shoot that slingshot in the house. Don't take other people's things without permission. Don't go through other people's things without permission. Don't trespass on private property. Don't eat candy for every meal. Don't follow a bear around in the woods. Don't chase the livestock. Don't torment the pets. And the list goes on. Being an adult means you know you shouldn't shoot the slingshot in the house, but choose to accept the consequences of shooting the slingshot in the house. Where babies come from. No sheet. I had to explain this to a 19-year-old who got his girlfriend pregnant. He seriously thought that because they were both virgins, that she couldn't get pregnant. She did. When I was in the 8th grade, my friend was complaining about tampons and how she would never put anything up there, so I asked her how she was ever going to have sex. And you could see the light bulb come on. A couple years later she got knocked up and I always felt guilty about it. Edit. We were both in a private Christian school with absolutely nothing resembling sex ed. Glad her parents took their job seriously. I'm a private tutor. I've had to argue with too many parents who disagreed with me over simple concepts like how to add fractions. But I'm billing them $80+ an hour. So I'm fine with spending a bit of time explaining basic ideas. Edit. Yes. I charge $80-200 per hour. I only advertise my services in rich neighborhoods. Also, it's not like poor people are at a disadvantage because they can't afford my help. I'm actually quite useless. Don't pee on the toilet seat. If you accidentally pee on the toilet seat, wipe it up with toilet paper so the next person doesn't sit on it. Also, don't stand on the toilet seat at a North American toilet. I worked in a building with international students. The toilet seats always had shoe marks. This was a woman's bathroom. Edit. Amazing. My first popular comment is about bathroom etiquette. That they should take responsibility for their mistakes. That nobody else made them do the bad thing they did. Edit. Wow. Thanks for the silver. Kind strangers. Or that your own personal beliefs and way of life are not objective. And that there is an entire world outside of the small corner of the world you live in. A lot of close-minded adults end up being the entitled ones because they think they are always right. How to eat with your mouth closed. I recently, privately, asked my mom how my sister managed to grow into adulthood chewing with her mouth hanging open. She said she gave up in her teen years when nothing she did was making a difference. I had guys when I was in the army that would stuff half an hamburger in their mouths talking to me while chewing and swallowing their food without their lips coming even close to each other. Fun facts: half of them also don't know how to keep their saliva to themselves. Please and thank you. Unlimited breadsticks are not really unlimited. And that you eventually have to order something. To someone who flipped a table while shouting, "I shall no longer patronize the Garden of Olives." How to do basic functions. Wiping your ass. Using a knife and fork. Tying laces, etc. That you shouldn't kiss, hug, touch, sniff complete strangers. But did you know if you put your rear up against a stranger's leg you can distinctly hear "What the duck are you doing?" Why they have to repeat 3rd grade. Look both ways before you cross the street. The importance of keeping your hands to yourself. Women have a urethra and a vag. Pee and menstrual blood don't come out of the same hole. As a female, 17. I didn't learn this until I was 15. Insane how it's not taught as often as it should be. To use their inside voice when they are speaking too loudly. Sometimes it's time to use no voice. When you want somebody to move, we say "excuse me," not "move it." My supervisor didn't take it well when I wasn't gonna take his rudeness. Any lessons you could easily find in a children's show. Prime example, Bronies. When the new MLP series and Bronies were at their height. I was in my early to mid-teens. I watched the show because my similarly aged friends all liked MLP when they were younger or had fond memories of it. I didn't grow up here in America. And I wanted to relate to my friends more. And I have always also liked cartoons. Anyway. Even if they are simplistic and the messages of the show are pretty obvious, be nice to people you don't understand. Apologize to your friends when you have wronged them. Don't lie to others just to please them. It was nuts to hear 20 to 30-year-old grown-as men talking about those lessons like they were revelations. When I was in college, I overheard a Brony seriously explain to his other Brony friend why the, obviously, shitty thing he did was just like the, comically obviously, shitty thing Rarity did in one of the episodes. And Brony no. Too had a galaxy brain moment. I couldn't believe it. This children's show was written to give children a basic understanding of how to deal with issues as they grow up. It's meant to be a stepping stone to more complex issues. And it was being referenced by 20-somethings in college. It's like watching an adult just learn that if you add 4 quarters together, you get $1. Nah. Man. You should have known that 15 years ago. I can't really hate some of these Bronies. Though. Maybe some of them are on the spectrum or had developmental issues growing up. Or grew up in a very macho or oppressive household. I will hate on weird horny Bronies. Though. I guess that's another one that's unacceptable to have to explain to an adult. Please don't beat your meat to the fictional child horses. Sweets and other treats are okay in moderation, and it is important to get some sort of exercise. Even if light walking.